Hello there, my name is James and I'm the Digital Communications Officer at the Diocese of Manchester. So today I'm just going to run you through the Digital Church Survey template that we've released as part of the comms team. We're hoping to circulate this across the diocese, so you may have seen this template and this survey already. But the aim is sort of just to invite churches to use the template and survey their own congregations. And the goal really is to enable them to learn a little bit more about the opinions and attitudes towards the use of digital and social platforms as part of their local ministry. So the survey it's a template, so it's completely customizable, editable, and amendable. And as I say, the desire here is sort of just to encourage each church to proactively think about the shape of their digital landscape going into 2022, because we understand so many churches across the diocese and across the country and across the world have been radically changed in the last year, in this huge uplift and springboard into a digital environment. It might be quite scary for some. It might be something that people aren't comfortable with, or it might have revolutionized the church. And we have so many case studies that we'll be touching on over the next year, where that's happened. So this is just a real quick video, just touching on how to distribute this survey. And yeah, we'll just jump right into it. So I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to look to the left side of my screen and fix up where my camera is. Don't need to see too much of me. Okay, brilliant. Right, we're back. So this is the Digital Church Survey template. You may have seen this template previously. We have distributed it across various different channels, but essentially it's just a PDF document with the links that you need to access the two various formats that the survey come in. So the primary one that we'll be looking at today is the online survey, but we do also have the option for print too. As I say, I'm just going to run through this really quickly. But any other questions, my details will be on the screen. I'll put it in the bottom left corner for you. And I'll keep it there actually for the remainder of the video. And as I say, I am the Digital Communications Officer at the diocese. So I'm here for anything that you need, any struggles, any questions, anything at all. If you'd like to go through this survey with me step by step, if you'd like to use me for responses, etc., just do get in touch. I'll leave my phone number and my email address there. Get in touch at any time. So we'll jump into the online survey. So dead simple. I mean, I've created this walkthrough for you here, but it's as simple as clicking the link here. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll control to click the link, so it just opens it in a new tab. So it's as simple as this. We're going to hit make a copy. And what this is doing is duplicating the template that we've already made, and which you can see right here. So if you're not familiar with Google Forms, everything is hosted on this page. So it's much like a Word document. You can edit the different boxes, edit the different sections as you wish. And now that you've duplicated it, this form is now yours. You are the sole owner. We as a diocese do not have visibility over this page. This is entirely viewable by you. If you would like to add collaborators, which, if you're unfamiliar with how forms works, or, maybe you're a little bit worried about getting something wrong, or you just want an extra pair of eyes, the quickest way to do that is you hit send just in the top right, and you head down here to add collaborators. So when you hit that, you can, invite people via email or whatever, get members of your leadership team or members of your congregation who are maybe a little bit more familiar with this and add them. But we'll come back to that in a second. So here we go. I added a little bit of copy here. This is mainly for whoever is going to be distributing the survey, because as we say, this is more for enabling the churches to do it themselves. So I would obviously recommend getting rid of that because, yeah, probably not too necessary. Put your own information in there. I would also suggest removing the title there. You can do that there and then up here. So if you notice, because it's a duplicate, it's putting copy of as the title. So you can clean this up a little bit. It isn't a necessity because these things aren't typically noticeable on the form when we distribute it, but it's nice just to do a bit of house cleaning around the form itself. And then this is your form. Essentially, this is your survey. So you've got this multi-point grid that you can use. You've got a checkbox system, and the questions that we've used have been, well, we sort of aim to be quite broad, but still relatively targeted in terms of the responses that we'll be getting. So for example, this first question here, I'm not going to go through all the questions, don't worry. How often do you use any of the digital social platforms provided by your church? So this might be, a bit of an open-ended question, but this way we're sort of nailing down what platforms people use and engage with. You might find that 90% use Facebook, but only 10% use, your church website. And that just screams, right, okay, well then we should put 90% of our effort on the Facebook page. Or, it's just opening your mind and giving you a little bit of an idea as to how to allocate resources. Um, I wouldn't recommend that, by the way, in terms of splitting it up that way, but just an example. Um, and what's really useful about this box is if you click on the box itself, you can change this. And as we've said here, edit this to include any channels that apply to your church or don't apply. So if your church doesn't have a YouTube, get rid of it. Um, or if you have, I mean, anything, a TikTok, some churches might stick it in, and that will add it to the grid. So you can do that all the way down. Again, you can change that with the checkboxes. There's a couple of different examples down here. And if you wanted to add your own question, you can click this little plus icon here and click that. There we go. Add your question. You've got a range of different options, linear, scales, drop downs, checkboxes. You can get people to add short answers so they can actually type and be quite responsive. And you'll pop your question in there and your option in there. And that's really the basics of forms. We can go into it a little bit more if you'd like. I'd be more than happy to do one-to-ones on the complexities of Google Forms. But ultimately, when you're finished, when you're satisfied with it, you can also change the colors and the customization. So we've added a bit of Diocese and Manchester branding, but if you prefer, stick your church logo up there, change the colors, do whatever, do whatever you want, whatever feels right. But when you're happy with it, there's two things you can do. So if you click this little eye icon in the top right, let me just zoom that in for you. You can click preview, and what that does is opens a link, and this is um, what the survey participant will see. Now, just to take a couple of steps back, because I think it's quite important, if we go back to this walkthrough document, when you click this link, for me, it went straight to a duplication of the survey, but for others, it might open up a request to log into a Google account. Now, if you have a Google account, brilliant, that's great. You can just log straight in and duplicate it. If you don't, I would recommend making one. If you will need one to use this form platform. But Google's brilliant. You'd get Drive storage, you get Gmail with it. We will be looking as part of the digital support group in the diocese to be running a very, very short webinar. In fact, no, it won't be a short webinar. It'll be quite a good in-depth webinar into Google Drive, G Suite, Workspace, etc. So we can look into that in greater depth and what it could do for your church, and to integrate things digitally. So just to go back to this, the reason why I brought that up is because it's important to recognize that if you want to edit this, you need a Google account. But if you want to fill the survey out, you don't need a Google account. This link is shareable anywhere, which we'll touch on right now. But you don't need to log in to get to this page. So anybody can do this. So if we're happy and we're satisfied, we're looking good, our next option is to distribute it and send it off. So what we want to do there is hit send in the top right. There's a couple of ways we can do this. Primarily, you can fire it to an email. So you could send it to a mailing list, or fire it to individuals. Send it off. As I say, that's probably the most simple way to do it, and add a little subject line there. Or alternatively, I suppose the way that we would recommend, excuse me, and probably one of the most effective ways actually would be to send it as a link. So I would recommend shortening the URL, just makes it a little bit more presentable. And post this wherever. Obviously, this is an open and anonymous quiz, survey. And so it's quite important to recognize that if this link was shared on open-ended platforms like Twitter or on a public social post like Facebook, anybody can access this form, and so the results might be slightly skewed. We would typically advise that you share this link in a closed Facebook group, a mailing list, perhaps in a Zoom call or on a church presentation or on a PowerPoint, and just allow people a couple of minutes to log in, fill out the survey, and then you're all set. I can do a little guide sometime on how you could turn that into QR code, but there's a couple of websites out there where you basically just copy that link and paste it into the website, and it'll create a QR code for you. So that could be another great way. It's quite a modern solution to sharing a link. So then when people fill out this survey, they'll be heading that all the survey responses will come into this little responses box here. So if we go back to the digital survey, let's just fill out one or two of these really quickly. Bam, 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 bam. And then we'll scroll all the way to the bottom, submit. And there we go. It's populated straight away. It's all in the cloud. It's all stored here. Again, this is all confidential and only accessible to the people that are part of this forms ecosystem. If you've added collaborators, they too will be able to see the responses. And here they are. So really good. It's great that they build these little infographics. You can export it to a Google Sheets. If you like, again, we will be running a webinar on the Google Suite system, so I'll be explaining that in a little bit more detail in the future. You can also export it as a CSV, comma separated value, if you wanted to import it into Excel. So maybe something you wanted to use, make some pie charts and bar charts with more customization. Or one thing that I would recommend, now this is something people think, oh, print all responses, it's going to go and print about 1,000 copies to my church printer. No, if you hit print all responses, it'll open this panel and you can actually print it to a PDF, so you can then save that file. It might be useful for a Zoom call, share the screen, or print it out, bring it into a meeting, and just run through the different results. So obviously here we only have the one because it's only had one response, but this hopefully, if you distribute it in your church, will be nicely populated. And then when you're done with the quiz, sorry, keep calling it a quiz. When you're done with the survey, bang, turn off responses. So it's just that button right there, and you can do that whenever you want, as many times as you want, and obviously leave a little message for your respondents, just so they know what's going on. And it's as simple as that. That is Google Forms in, how long's that been? About 10 minutes. I hope that makes some sense. As I say, we'll be doing some training on the Google Suite. So if you're unfamiliar and this is all, quite scary territory for you, don't worry. Get in touch with me, get in touch with anybody in my team, and we'll be more than happy to help. And we'll be running a webinar at some point in the near future to touch on these things. So Google Forms, cool. So now we're going to move to the printable survey. This is really self-explanatory. All it is, so if you see the walkthrough document, you can scroll down. All it is a little link here, and when you click this, it will open up the option to save a Word document to your computer, and that's completely editable as you wish. So I'll do that now. Let's just get rid of that. But you can see it here. I've got a bit of a landing page for you. This is for the people that will be distributing the survey. So I wouldn't recommend keeping this in there, although you could. But we've just said about why we're doing it, and different methods, etc. And a little bit of information on how it is anonymous. And here it is. This is the survey. This is the exact same one as the Google form, completely customizable. Obviously, change any of the headings or options as you wish. And then when you're happy, do what you do with it. Save it, print it, distribute it, and you're all set. So That is the Digital Church Survey template. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope I've not rambled too much. This is one of my first videos actually sharing within the diocese. So if you don't know me, again, my name is James and I am the Digital Communications Officer at the Diocese of Manchester. It's an absolute pleasure to be working with you all, and I look forward to answering any questions, emails, phone calls, sorry, just get in touch and give me a shout if you want any more information on this. So thanks very much, and I'll see you again soon.